Hello, my name is Luis Hero. Today I'm going to be talking about my web app called For Lupton Restaurants. And really all it is, just a web app that will display restaurants and their menus, their dishes. The purpose is to help the town keep more of the money that's being produced. What happens is lots of people come to work here, but they don't actually know what's going on in Fort Lupton. So this app will allow them to see that there's good food here. It will help small businesses show what they have, let the consumer easier for the consumer to see what's going on, and it provides a web portal for business owners to modify and create or add to their menus. So this is the database design. So very simple. We have three tables. We have restaurant, we have manager's table, and a dishes table. So main key here is restaurant ID. Restaurant ID is also a foreign keys on the other two tables, dishes and managers, because well, you can't have manager without restaurant, and you can't have a dish without restaurant. So that's the reason they have that foreign key. There's three different types of users for this app. We have the regular visitors. These are just the patrons or the customers. They can look at the restaurants and they can look at dishes. We have managers. These are the owners. And then we have the almighty administrator. Now with these three types of users, we have three different views. So again, users can see the restaurants and see the dishes. They can actually filter out what kind of restaurants they see. They can filter them out by type, like Chinese or American or Mexican. Managers, the manager view allows them to view all the dishes, but it actually also enables them to modify their dishes for the restaurant they work for or add new items to their menu. Finally, the admin is allowed to view everything. He's also allowed to modify everything, but he can also add new managers and actually add new restaurants to the web app. The web app, of course, runs securely since we have several levels of access. So users cannot make any changes. They don't have access to any aspect of the database other than viewing. So managers, in order to make changes, have to be authenticated. But they can only modify their own restaurants. They cannot modify any of the restaurants. We always check for SQL code from user input. So whenever we have a login or we are getting information to input into the database, we make sure there's no SQL code. Session IDs are always checked to make sure the correct person is editing the correct part of the database. We always strip HTML tags to prevent cross-site scripting. Session data is never accessible by JavaScript, so that way we cannot fake session data. Post variables are checked for validity. Passwords are always encrypted and salted. And finally, the web application uses SSL to talk to the database server. So it's not plain text that you're interchanging. So now let's look at the small demo. So here we go to our web page. It's one. So there we go. So we have 4 open restaurants here. So we're running on HTTPS. So it gives us an error because we're running an invalid certificate, but we're going to override that because we know it's safe. One second here. Okay, so what we have here, this is the main page where the customer comes in. So as you can see all the restaurants. If you want to filter them out by, say, type, Mexican, hit submit, you'll actually only see the Mexican restaurants. So let's take a look at these guys here. So you can see, you should be able to see their dishes. And there you have it. You can see a small description, a small picture. Alright, so now let's suppose we are actually an administrator. We want to see what's going on with our restaurant. So go ahead and log in. Well, not administrator, I'm sorry, a manager. So let's say we have Mr. Fat one. Okay, so hold on a second here. Fat one. And then we log in. Okay, so now we're authenticated. So you can see we have two new items at the top. We have an item and a logout button. So now let's take a look at Fat Brothers, which is one of the restaurant where Mr. Fat One can manage. So now we have this new button here that says change. So you can actually change the items that you want to change. So let's change the description on this one so that it's misleading. We don't want to give heart disease to our customers. Just 1 second here. So let's change that. Let's make it more appealing. Love. So it's a little bit better. We hit submit, and then if we go back, we can see that our changes took place there. So now let's say that I'm feeling malicious and I want to see what the other restaurants are doing. Maybe try to modify, since I'm authenticated on the site, maybe I can modify their dishes as well. But if I go to another restaurant, I can actually not modify it, and I get a warning there, a little note there that I cannot modify this restaurant. So that's a bit of implemented security that we have for different with using sessions IDs. Now let's see if we go log out. We should be taken back to the main page. Just 1 second here. Okay, so now let's say that I'm the administrator. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Okay, so we're going to go log in as an admin. Okay, so as an administrator, actually I see these few items, extra items here. One of them is add manager, the other one is add restaurant. So let's say, for example, we want to add a restaurant. Okay, so now we can choose the name. So let's just call it new restaurant. Let's say that the type is Chinese. So you can submit. Now, if we go back to the main page, we actually see our new restaurant right there. And if we want to, we can add a new manager. So here we pick the restaurant. We'll just call him new manager. Let me just click a good password. Submit. And if we log out, try to log in as a new manager. Sorry, wrong password.